else can go wrong with this picture?
Maria!
Hey, how are you, man? Nice to meet you.
I'm Griff and Nathan. Nice to meet you too. Thanks very much for speaking to me, and congratulations on the movie. I just rewatched it again before the interview just to kind of just to recall kind of some of those crazy moments there. I'm quite curious about how it went from kind of the initial. I know it's kind of very loosely inspired by the original the Breed movie. No, I'm quite curious. What was kind of your initial idea about how you wanted to create a film inspired by that film, and then how that metamorphized kind of, was it supposed to be so kind of action packed and kind of almost spoofy at the same time, or was it going to be more kind of similar to the original movie and kind of more serious, more kind of kind of a horror movie?
Opposite from the original movie. We were actually approached to do a direct sequel called The Breed 2, and it was actually called The Breed 2 all the way through production. But when we watched The Breed, well, I appreciate that movie. You know, it's 20 years old, and it's like it's very much what those movies were at that time. And I came to Nathan and I said, hey, this offer came in to make this movie, but I don't want to make just a straightforward creature movie that's not funny. Like, we have to make it a comedy. We'd have to twist it up. And so Nathan actually came up with the premise for the movie to make it kind of like more inspired by, in a movie within a movie kind of a premise. And then the amount of action was absolutely intentional, because we have young kids like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and they're on YouTube all the time. Yeah. And so it's like
that was what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, yeah, was it kind of born out of your fear for animals? I think Nathan, you've got a couple of dogs, if I'm not mistaken.
I do. I do have a couple dogs.
I imagine it wasn't kind of born out of your fear of dogs. I was kind of imagining maybe it was more of your fear of kind of the invasion of the influencers, no? Also.
Oh, you're picking up on that. Yes. There's a little bit of a horror story, and Griff has dogs as well, and so of course we love dogs. And I'm friends with a lot of influencers. And he's friends with a lot of influencers. I not as much, though. I do appreciate their contribution to society. But yes, there's a little bit of that too. It's a little bit of fish out of water for them, I think, and we're just playing into that for the new age as it is. Yeah. So the editing style and the pace and the amount of action in it, even though we had a very short time to shoot it, was very intentional, because we're making it for, like, I always like to make movies. I think of all the movies that I love, and they're from when I was like 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's like, when we make a movie like this, I want it to be for at that age range, right? So because they're the ones who remember it. I can't remember what I watched last week. They'll remember it forever.
Yeah, exactly. I can remember Die Hard and those kind of things, but I can't remember anything that I watched this year.
So we definitely just leaned into our natural ADHD that's already there, and it's like whenever we started to think something needs to start happening, that's what we put down on the page.
Well, it doesn't stop. I mean, you really you lay down the gauntlet for yourself, because I imagine you didn't have a huge budget for this, but to kind of get as much action as you can, especially with all these dogs and everything that, I don't want to give anything away, but everything that we see them do, that must have been kind of a real challenge. Was that in the script, or did you kind of find yourself kind of second guessing how you could get away with a lot of these things, because you get away with a lot of stuff in this movie?
So both. It was in the script, and we were thinking exactly what you were thinking while we were shooting it. That there's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, they say don't make movies with dogs, and don't make movies with kids. And yeah. So, I mean, it was absolutely in the script, but we had practical dogs, a good amount of them. I think one thing we didn't anticipate was how friendly they would be, and so we ended up having to do more CGI than initially anticipated, because the dogs were just too friendly on camera, which actually it turned into the most visual effects in an independent movie ever, as far as our research goes. That's right, yeah. Like, we researched all this stuff, because there's over 1,500 VFX. That was not the initial plan. It's just the dogs didn't, with the amount of action they needed to do, they weren't going to swing from ropes. Which is that officially verified by somebody? It was verified by Record Setter, yeah. By Record Setter, yeah. Okay. ChatGPT. And ChatGPT, okay, fair enough. There you go. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, obviously there's a lot of CGI in there, but how much of that are actual dogs? Because there's a whole huge pack of dogs in there. How much of that is real? How much of the dogs are actually on camera and on set with you at the time? How many, or how many shots? How many, or how many shots as well? Because I mean, it looks like there are a lot of dogs that are actual real dogs, no?
We had 10 dogs every day. Well, 10 and a quarter. We had 10 and a quarter dogs, because we had 10 dogs and then like a puppy. That we had on some of the days.
Yeah, so we had 10 dogs on set, and they're all over the movie, intercut with the CGI.
Yeah.
The CGI artist made models to model after the real dogs. So when it's hard, hopefully it's hard to tell at some points which are CGI and which not. But then there's a lot of times where you're like, oh, that's a digital dog for sure. But like when you see the pack of dogs, there's some digital running with our 10 dogs. Like when you see a lot of dogs, it's 10 real dogs and then digital dogs surrounding them.
And then of course the dogs that are doing jumping off of cliffs and shooting machine guns. No, I'm kidding. But those are obviously not.
I'm surprised.
We were advised not to throw dogs off of cliffs and have them dive into the water. We were advised not to do that.
How much did they actually work with the actors as well? Kind of the human actors. Was there a lot of
a lot, but mainly as therapy dogs.
Yeah, I was going to say some, but honestly, I don't know how much that's actually in the frame. There was, because there was a lot of. Running and chasing, and then cut, and then it snuggles
like
and snacks.
Mason's death scene is with a practical dog.
That's a real dog. Yeah,
There's
real dogs actually in the golf cart chase too.
Yeah. And when they're chasing the golf cart, that's real. But anytime, usually with the exception of Mason, I think if the dogs are attacking, they tend to be digital because the dogs just did not want to attack. They were just they wanted to lick.
Right.
So I mean, most films where we've got kind of creatures attacking, you've seen interviews of this. They're always kind of they're kind of act with a guy dressed up as a crocodile or whatever the film is about. How did you kind of recreate those scenes so the actors could kind of really feel that they were kind of being attacked or fighting these dogs?
It's a lot of us is us barking.
Yeah. It's a testament to our amazing cast. We were so lucky to get this cast too, but they are giving amazing reactions to camera. And what was actually happening is the two of us going, "Roo, roo, 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 roo."
We also
some of the time
green punching bags. So it's like if they're wrestling, we would throw the green punching bag at them, and then that would get replaced with a dog eventually.
Yeah. Any actual interactions were usually like a green bag that they interact. Right. But then, us screaming at the same time, Adam,
And one character that we can't not talk about is the island. I mean, the island it just took me back to like the old Bruce Lee movie where he's fighting. Is it the Enter the Dragon? I think it is, where it's on the island. It's a really great setting. So I'm quite curious. Is it actually set on an island? Because that's another gauntlet that you must have laid down for yourself if you took the whole camera crew and everybody out to an island. No, how did you? Is it all filmed on an island?
It's actually it's not an island, but it's worse. It might as well.
I was gonna say it might as well be an island.
It's called Lake Atitlan, which is a beautiful place in Guatemala that nobody's ever shot a movie at before, and there's good reason because it's a logistical nightmare. It's an island with 7 volcanoes, and in this it's a giant lake. And at the bottom of this lake is a Mayan village, like Mayan ruins. So you can scuba dive to these ancient Mayan ruins that are now buried at the bottom of the lake, surrounded by volcanoes. So it's a completely magical place, but there's no roads. So we would have to load all of our equipment onto a boat every day, and then take the crew on this boat to another side of the lake. So it's not an island, but you can't drive to other parts of the island where we shot. So you'd have to take a ferry, a 30-minute ferry.
With all the camera equipment, with everything.
Yeah.
Don't get it wet, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. And was there a Wi-Fi code for the island as well?
No. We did get service actually in parts of it.
Yeah. There's actually service.
It was service.
Guatemala does have service.
Yeah. That we did get service. That was good.
Wow, that's crazy. I was reading in the press release. It said that kind of there was certain moments where even the camera guy didn't expect the dog to kind of come out of nowhere. Was that done on purpose, or was that just kind of happenstance that kind of these things? Why did you say that? Was that happenstance, or were there things that you prepared so that the actors and the kind of the camera crew maybe didn't know exactly what you were planning to kind of make it kind of feel more frenetic?
Yeah, he's talking about the director's.
He's talking about the director's statement. Yeah. So the cameraman would actually, everybody kind of knew where everything was actually happening for reals. But there is that variant. We did, John, who's a fantastic cinematographer, we would have him sometimes be on handheld because, just being able to move the camera as he wants, because when you have a real dog involved and the actors reacting, we didn't block out every little tiny movement. So whatever the dog does, you follow the dog. So there is a little bit of that, and we leaned into that as far as like how we wanted to make the movie too, and to have it feel like it's a surprise.
Yeah, we wanted the camera to be reactionary to the action, and we figured it would help us with because there is a lot of CGI dogs. So if it's kind of frantic and a little green grassy at times, it'll help hide some of the imperfections of the massive amount of CGI.
Yeah, and also just creates.
So talking about the kind of hiding the imperfection and stuff, I think you both edited the film as well, is that correct?
We did.
That must have been a huge task because obviously a lot of things kind of happened.
More than
like you said, the handheld cameras and these kind of things. That must have made it really kind of more complicated for you to edit things together, no?
It was. It's probably the most complicated movie I've ever edited because there was the most VFX shots because there's over 1,500 shots. So there's 1,500 shots where what's supposed to be happening in frame isn't in frame. And so when we delivered rough cuts, it's like usually when I've delivered a rough cut, everybody's ecstatic about it. Like, this is great. But when you delivered it, the people who received it, they're like, we don't know what's going on. I'm like, I know, because there's 3,000 cuts in the movie. Half of them don't have the subject that you're going to see in the movie. And it took until we had all those shots in for people to be like, this is awesome. Thanks for this. I'm like, yes, I know. It's like there's just 1,500 empty plates right now, and so it doesn't seem that scary or funny. You have to wait for the dogs to be laid in.
That's what being the director is, right? It's just like we're the only ones that really know what it's supposed to look like in the end, and you know, and you know, that's where it is. You know, we also had 3 cameras running a lot of the time to just try to capture everything the dogs might do when we let them loose. You know, and then trying to edit that together was its own battle, and then putting that together. And then, of course, the easiest thing to edit was the amazing actors. Their performances were fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
They're amazing.
Well, you say that, but then I was watching the blooper reel at the end. It looks like you had a lot of fun and maybe had to kind of show action a few more times than you maybe expected.
We did. We formed I think everybody on that set formed a really strong bond of just going to this country that nobody had ever been to before, and so different from where we are, and like going to these remote locations within that country that I think everybody is lifelong friends that was on that set and is really tight now. So yeah, we did have a good time with the adventure of it all.
We heard that they still have a text thread where they sometimes talk to each other, and that makes we love that they felt that bond.
We're on that text thread.
Well, we're on text thread. They have their own as well.
Okay.
They have their own. But it's you know, they're trauma bonded from being chased by these dogs, and we love that.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, listen, Griff, Nathan, thank you so much for giving the wrap. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you the best of luck with the film when it comes out tomorrow.
Yeah,
and I hope to speak to you again sometime soon.
Yeah, very cool.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, take care. Thank
We either fuse into an unstoppable force, or we fall apart. Play dead.